Hey guys, so I get a comment at least every day saying, oh, didn't you have a boyfriend? What happened to your boyfriend? So get ready with me while I talk about how I got broken up with. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with what I did wrong first because I don't want to make myself look good the entire time. And honestly, this isn't even wrong, it's just what led to it. Okay, so does anybody know that trend where you post on your story, slide up for a cookie, and then you go and silly string people? Okay, so I posted that. And I was with a group of friends, mind you. So my friend's neighbor, that's a guy, slides up on the story. And he's like, oh, we want a cookie, da-da-da-da. So we go to his house to give him the cookie and silly string him. Obviously, me being the good person I am, I communicate that. And well, he doesn't like that, so he makes this whole argument. And I told him 2 days later whenever we hung out because I didn't tell him over text. And so he makes me take him home and everything. And so then that whole week, he doesn't text me or anything. And he's sending me the most dry snaps of the wall. And then he tells me, I think it was on a Thursday, that him and his friend were going to the mall with these two girls after I had asked him to hang out. So I was like, okay, what the heck? I'm literally done. And so then after he gets back from the mall, he texts me, hey, I don't think this is working. I need to focus on basketball. Mind you, he's on the sophomore team too. I don't know what you're focusing on. But yeah, something along the lines of that. It was really stupid. He said he wanted to focus on basketball. And I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm getting broken up with like this. I was honestly so embarrassed for myself because I got broken up with because somebody wanted to focus on basketball. And so obviously I'm confused and really freaking upset. This guy I'd been dating for 7 months breaks up with me because he wants to focus on basketball. And he's not even that good at it. I can now see why he wanted to focus on it. But anyway, it's not the point. I was really upset about it. So obviously, I begged him to stay. Which is, really embarrassing now that I think about it. Because, I don't know. That's just don't do it. I don't recommend it. If they want to leave, let them leave. And that clearly didn't work. Anyways, so I think I want to say a week goes by. And he sends me a video of him on Snapchat at a party saying, fuck you, with all his friends. I already fucked 2 girls. And I was like, damn, you must have no self-respect. I honestly wish I would have screen recorded that, but I didn't. And mind you, that was only a week after we broke up. That is basically just as bad as cheating. And if he got with someone so soon, that girl was there the whole time. And then he found out I kissed this other guy, and he was like, oh my gosh, that's such a downgrade for real. I kid you not, he was so pressed. This boy's ego is bigger than the 2 biceps on his arm. He still has a big ego now. He literally thinks he's the shit. It is honestly so annoying. I hate guys with a big ego. My friend sent me a photo the other day, and it's a picture of his public profile, and it says the streets are calling. I'm sorry, but just because you pulled me doesn't mean you're gonna pull other girls. I'm sorry, but the only reason I'm being such a hater right now is because of how, dirty I got done. And I literally do not care for his feelings, at all. And the only reason I'm just now talking about this is because I'm, tired of seeing comments asking about it. So I'm just delivering what you guys asked for because I'm a messy bitch. If I didn't have 400,000 followers, I would probably at him too. No, I'm just kidding. But if someone happened to at him in the comments, I wouldn't delete the at. Because I definitely would want everyone to go hate on him. I'm sorry, but I'm not one of those mature TikTok girls that are like, oh yeah, my condolences go out to him. I just want nothing but the best. No, I literally hate him with a burning passion. Alright, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And moral of the story, don't date somebody on the sophomore team. And listen to your friends, because all my friends thought he was ugly as shit. No offense. I'm not gonna say, my opinion on that. Bye, guys.
Get ready with me for a sleepover while I tell you guys how I got jumped at my last sleepover. Just kidding, y'all thought I got jumped? But I almost did actually get jumped, but this was a couple years ago, so let me tell you guys the story. So this was in 4th or 5th grade, I can't really remember, and we had a big friend group. It was 6 of us, and we all decided to have a sleepover at this one girl's house. Joe, we were the friend group that always argued and then got back cool. So our messy selves at one sleepover, all in one house, yeah, something was definitely about to happen. Okay, so basically as soon as we get there, it was cool at first, and then Of course, two of the girls start arguing. I don't even know why. Me being the messy person I am, I start recording and they're not even fighting. Like, they're just arguing. So, girl, put your phone down. But then again, I was in like 4th grade. So, if anything popped off, I was just gonna record. Like, so once they start arguing, then they started getting physical. Like, they started punching and hitting each other and they start fighting. They're done, you know. I don't know what they were doing. You could just see me I was just in the corner just recording. Like, I don't know. One of the girls that got punched in the stomach and can barely breathe, she was huffing and puffing. She starts getting mad at me, talking about some, Kyle, put your phone down, why are you recording? Okay, yeah, I shouldn't have been recording because it was very unnecessary, but girl, don't take your anger out on me just because you got punched in the stomach. My best friend, Erica, she was recording as well. And so she goes to Erica and was like, you too, girl. I don't know why both of y'all are recording. Da-da-da-da. And she started walking up on us. I'm just like, girl, is it that serious? Like, calm down. Like, we're not gonna send it to nobody. And the other girl rises up because she was on the ground just getting beat up. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why y'all are recording da-da-da. Huh? Girl, wasn't y'all just fighting? Don't try to game up on me and my best friend. So they start walking up into our faces. We're going back and forth, arguing, and then her mom comes downstairs. Mom tells us to shut it down, go to bed, and we turn on a movie and just go to bed because it was just too much going on. The next morning, she has this, like, event. I'm just like, okay, if you had an event, then why are you having a sleepover the day before? And then the next morning, she leaves us at her house. 5 of us are in the house, home alone, in her house. And she got mad at us because we didn't clean up. Left us at your house. But now I'm best friends with the girl, so Adriana, I love you so much. Don't get offended, girl. It's just a story time. But yeah, guys. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all, for the gospel.
Get ready with me while I talk about things I got in trouble for with a really strict dad. So these are things that I think a child would not normally get in trouble for, but I guess we'll see. So starting off strong, I didn't get him or make him a birthday card when I was like 8 or 9. So me and my brother got sent to our rooms for the rest of the day. We tried to call our mom to tell her what happened, and then we got in trouble for that. The next thing I got in trouble for was for not being hungry at breakfast time or not eating all my food at dinner. I mean, it wasn't because I wanted to be skinny or something like that. I was literally just really little and could not physically eat the same amount as my older brother could. I don't understand how that one is that wrong. And on that note, one time I had some food left that I just was not hungry at all. I had eaten so much. So then I said I had to go to the bathroom, then I stuffed it all in my mouth, and then I went to the bathroom and spit it out in the toilet. And when I came out, my dad had his ear to the door and he was like, bruh. And then I was sent to my room and I was crying, and then he came in and he was like, you need to apologize to your stepmom for doing that because now she thinks you hate her food. And she was just making that up to make me feel bad, obviously. She could care less. The next thing I got in trouble for was for texting somebody the poop emoji. Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for that one. The next thing I got in trouble for was for getting car sick and throwing up in the car. And I had to clean it up after. The next thing isn't something I got in trouble for. It's just kind of a weird rule we had that we had to ask before we could have a snack or just eat in general. We had to ask before we could eat. I don't know. I didn't really realize how weird that one is until now. But also it just doesn't make sense because it's you want me to eat all my food, but then when I'm not hungry you're mad at me, but then when I am hungry you're also mad at me. Make it make sense, pal. The next thing I got in trouble for was for bringing clothes that I bought with gift cards that my dad and stepmom gave me to my mom's house. So I wasn't allowed to bring anything from my dad's house to my mom's house, but obviously my mom didn't care, so she let me bring stuff from her house to my dad's house because the next thing is honestly just a weird story that happened, but my old babysitter for some reason told my dad that I wanted to my siblings, my little sibling, but luckily my dad believed me, and yeah. And the last thing I got in trouble for is telling him that I was happier at my mom's house, and that got me kicked out the house. The full story time is pinned on my page. Let me know if you think these are strict rules or not. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching.
Get ready with me while I tell you guys about the story that I got sent. So it started off by me meeting this guy a few months before COVID started. We were texting for a while, getting to know each other, and eventually I started to like him. We were going out, and eventually my girl best friend moved around my area. We were hanging out a lot, and I eventually told her about my boyfriend. She was happy for me, but then she started acting weird. She hits him up and he ends up sending me a screenshot of her trying to get at him. She asked me if I wanted to hang out, so I was like, okay, sure. So whenever I went to her house, I ended up confronting her about it. She got mad at me and told me why I would ever think that she'll hit up on my boyfriend, but then I showed her the proof. After I showed her the proof, she kicked me out of her house and I went straight to my boyfriend's house. When I went to my boyfriend's house, I told him what happened and he told me to drop her. So then I dropped her and then COVID started, so I couldn't see my boyfriend as much. We take a little break because COVID did start and we couldn't really see each other, but we'll still text seeing how we were doing. Then my best friend sends me a snap of them together. And the reason why they had a chance seeing each other more is because they were in a gated community together and they lived like 30 seconds away from each other. When she sent me the snap, she didn't have one boyfriend, but she had two. But then I stop her back and tell her what she's doing with my ex and she just blocks me. But then I text my ex and I tell him that I want nothing to do with him and that I don't want to hear from him anymore. Moving forward to this year, we talked about it and made a solution. Now we're all good with each other, but we're not friends. Okay, that is the end of the story, but let me give you guys some feedback. First of all, that friend isn't your friend. And I hope that you cut contact with her, and if you did, good job. I know it's hard to cut off contact with a friend that you're best friends with, but if you did so, proud of you. And for your ex to be letting himself like that, and then your ex, he doesn't even have any respect, so don't go back to him. I know how girls be with their ex, just don't. At the end of the day, keep your head up and be careful.
With me while I tell you the story about how I met my racist, creepy neighbor. When I was in about 4th grade, me and my younger sister were obsessed with playing in the woods behind our house. One day, the neighbors on the other side of the woods moved in and there were so many kids that lived there. All of these kids were homeschooled, and so me and my sister went out and played in the woods, and we met these kids in the woods, the ones that just moved into the house. There was a girl that was my age, and then there was a boy that was, I think it was in the middle of me and my sister's age. I don't know if he was older or younger. All I know is that he was creepy and racist. The very first day we met these kids, the boy was very weird. His name is Johnny, and the very first time we met him, he got up on the sewer that was in the middle of the woods, he pulled down his pants, and he decided to pee in a circle, going just like in circles around. Obviously, these kids are homeschooled, so they probably don't have as much etiquette as kids who actually go to school do. And me and my sister usually went in the woods together. Like, we didn't really ever go alone because she was my best friend when I was younger. So there wasn't ever a reason for us to go alone. So the next day, we headed out to the woods and we saw them there again. And this time they were playing in a tree that was tipped over the pond. So we all climbed over it and we started yelling things over the pond. Like, hey, like no swear words or anything, just like innocent kid stuff. But Johnny decided to yell the N-word. And me being a little 4th grader who didn't have much education on anything, I asked, what was that? What does that word mean? And he said the name of our black neighbor. So I was confused, and me and my sister went home, and it was dinner time. So we were sitting at the dinner table, and I go, hey, Daddy, like, today the Johnny from the woods said a word, and I didn't know what it meant. And I told my dad the story about how, like, he said the neighbor, and I didn't understand why it would be the neighbor, and like I didn't really understand anything. Dad was like, what was the word? And I was like, I can't remember. It started with an N, but I just like can't remember what it was. It was a weird word. And my dad started freaking out. He was like, was the neighbor outside when he said it? Like, did he hear anything? And then my dad started going on a rant about like homeschooled kids and how they're like weird, and like I had already told him the story about the sewer thing, and my mom was like, you shouldn't be hanging out with him anymore. So the next day, my sister woke up sick, so I had to go play in the woods by myself. So I went in the woods, and I didn't notice anybody else around besides Johnny. And he took me into the little fort that we had built, and he was like, this is mine. What does yours look like? As he pulled down his pants. And I covered my eyes, and I literally screamed at the top of my lungs, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, blah, 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 whatever little kids say.
honestly can't really remember it. That's like a traumatic part of my childhood. And little Johnny comes over here and he tries pulling my pants down. I scream and I run home and I just like cried. I didn't know what to do. Long story short, I never saw Johnny in the woods again after that, and I did not hang out with him or hear anything about him since.
Breaking news. The future is here, and it looks bright.
Get ready with me while I tell you about a family secret my grandma took to her grave and my family found out years later. Y'all are going to want to stay tuned because this story is actually insane. Okay, so it first starts off way before I was born when my grandpa died. And when he was on his deathbed, my family asked if there was any information that like he was hiding, and he said, "Not from me, but I don't know about your mother." And that was him telling that to his children. So that was my mom, and he was talking about my grandmother. So I don't really know what happened after that, but I guess they never found out that information. So when I was around 5, my grandma ended up passing away. And I think that what my grandpa said kind of just like passed over everyone's heads and no one really thought much about it. So then a few years later, I think I was around 13, my aunt ended up signing up for Ancestry and nothing really came up from it because she already pretty much knew everyone that we were related to until a few years later. So then one day my mom gets a call from her sister, and my mom is the youngest of 4, so my grandma already had 4 kids. But anyways, my aunt calls my mom one day and she's like, "I just got a match from Ancestry for someone that could be our sister." And so my mom's kind of just sitting here like, what? Like, we don't have another sister? Like, what? So then they're trying to figure out if it's from my grandpa or from her mom. Like, obviously my grandpa had an affair and got another woman pregnant, and so they have like a half sibling now. So this was already like crazy news to me, and I was like, what? Like, I have an aunt that I never knew about? Like, that's crazy. Little did we know that this was actually my grandma's child. And so we're trying to like map it out, and she's a lot older than my siblings, so we're like, this was before her marriage. It wasn't just before her marriage. She had this kid in high school. So I guess my grandma got pregnant in high school. I don't know how this was kept a huge secret, but when you get pregnant in high school, like, it's a big deal. So she got pregnant in high school and just didn't tell anyone about it, had the baby, and gave it up for adoption. And my half aunt didn't know she was adopted until she was 45. So her parents basically lied to her whole life, which that's what she says. Which I think is crazy, because imagine being told you're adopted when you're 45 years old. Like, what? So I'm already like jaw dropped about this whole situation. I'm telling all my friends, I'm like, guys, like, I literally have like a half aunt. Like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. And everyone around me is like, that doesn't just happen. So obviously I was like, whoa, crazy family lore right here, you know? And like a huge part of this was like crazy, because we were like, how did my grandma hide this from her kids, her husband? I mean, maybe he knew, but we were just kind of like, why did she not tell literally anyone, especially when she was like dying? Because she had cancer and she knew she was dying, but she still like kept it to herself. So everyone was just kind of like confused. So yeah, anyways, we end up meeting her, and she's super nice. We have a huge like family get together, and it's just still kind of like crazy to us, because it's like my mom literally had a half sibling her whole life and no one ever knew. And then like 3 years later, something even crazier happens, but you guys are gonna have to go to part 2 because I'm running out of time.
Hi guys, get ready with me while I tell you guys a little update on what's happening with my stalker. So in the last video, I showed you guys how he sent flowers to my door, but it gets so much worse. So right now I'm on a cruise with my family, but the day before I left, I got a knock on my door and I opened it and there was nothing outside, but then I found a note laying on the bouquet of flowers. You guys, as I was reading the note, I couldn't even finish it because it was so creepy. I just threw it on the floor and ran inside. I put a picture of what the note said on the screen. You guys can read it for yourselves. It's 101 stalker, creepy, just weird. Like, it was so creepy that it has to be a joke. Like, this has to be a prank. There's no way that somebody is creeping up on me like this. But I'm so happy because the very next day I had to leave to go on this cruise with my family, and
I've been here for about 4 or 5 days and I still have a couple days left. I'm really hoping the stalker thinks I either moved out or died. Because if he's a real stalker, he's probably waiting for my every move to leave the house. And in the case that he's watching my videos, then I'm screwed. Anyway, I'm enjoying my family vacation and I'm not gonna let the stalker ruin it, so please leave me alone. Tonight's dinner is hibachi and we're having an all-white party. This is the fit check of the night. I know it's a little bit wrinkly. I also feel like I'm like, yes, princess. Yes, princess. Oh no, Marilyn. The wind.